Okay, so imagine like you're walking through a city and like every storefront is just like buzzing with life, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of those empty spaces, you find escape rooms right next to like trendy boutiques,
Uh-huh.
breweries, like right there with VR gaming lounges. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So that's Indianapolis in 2025.
Yeah.
And today we're going to do a deep dive into like all the forces that are like behind this retail renaissance.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from this blog post by Cara. She's like a top commercial real estate agent in Indy.
Okay.
And she's breaking down how experiential retail and this like rise of e-commerce are reshaping the city's landscape.
It is fascinating how Indianapolis is like defying the Midwest trend.
Yeah.
Other cities are struggling. But Indy's retail vacancy rate has plummeted from like a peak of 12.7% in 2021 to just 4.4% in 2025.
Wow.
That's a big shift.
It really is. So let's unpack this idea of experiential retail.
Okay.
Cara talks about how consumers are like craving more than just a shopping trip.
Right.
They want an experience. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely.
Have you noticed this trend yourself?
I mean, think about it. We can buy almost anything online now.
Yeah, that's true.
What's missing is that human connection, the feeling of being part of something,
Yeah.
Experiential retail taps into that desire for shared experiences, whether it's a cooking class or like a live music performance or even like a VR adventure.
It's true. And Indianapolis businesses seem to be capitalizing on this trend in some really creative ways. Condi mentions the fashion mall at Keystone. They invested like $200 million in renovations.
Wow.
They added a food hall, a live music venue, and even a VR gaming lounge.
Nice.
Foot traffic has jumped by 18% since those additions.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. That's a pretty good return on investment.
It is. What's interesting is they haven't just thrown in like random attractions.
Right.
They've carefully curated experiences that align with their target audience.
Right.
A food hall caters to foodies and social gatherings. Live music attracts a younger crowd, and the VR lounge taps into the growing interest in like immersive technology.
Yeah. They're offering something for everyone,
Right.
but it's all carefully designed to create like a cohesive and engaging experience.
Yeah, it's like they've transformed the mall into like a destination.
Right.
A place where you can spend an entire afternoon exploring and discovering new things.
Exactly.
And it's not just big malls that are embracing this concept.
Right.
Condé also highlights a former vacant lot in Fountain Square
Okay.
that was transformed into a maker's market,
Okay.
boosting nearby retail sales by 20%.
Nice.
That suggests that even smaller, more localized efforts can make a big difference.
Exactly. And it speaks to the importance of understanding your local community and catering to their specific needs and interests.
Yeah.
A maker's market in a trendy artsy neighborhood like Fountain Square makes perfect sense.
Uh-huh.
It provides a platform for local artisans and creators, fosters a sense of community,
Right.
and attracts shoppers looking for unique handmade goods.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for everyone involved. It really is. It sounds like Cara is really emphasizing this idea of thinking beyond the transaction. It's not just about selling a product. It's about creating a memorable experience that keeps people coming back for more.
Right.
She gives the example of a failing strip mall that was transformed into a hub for escape rooms, a brewery, and a yoga studio.
Oh, wow.
Rents increased by 30%, and tenants are signing longer leases.
That's quite a turnaround.
It is. It's a pretty big turnaround.
What's really clever about that example is the way they've combined seemingly disparate businesses to create like a synergistic ecosystem.
Yeah.
Someone might come to the escape room, grab a beer at the brewery afterward, and then decide to try a yoga class the next day.
Yeah.
They're cross-promoting each other, creating a built-in customer base.
Yeah.
It's a smart strategy.
It is a smart strategy. So we've talked about how experiential retail is driving this retail revival, but what about the role of e-commerce?
Right.
It seems counterintuitive that the rise of online shopping would actually be fueling a brick-and-mortar comeback.
It's one of those fascinating paradoxes of the modern economy.
Yeah.
Think about the logistics behind all those online purchases.
Yeah.
You need warehouses,
Yeah.
distribution centers, and like a whole network of delivery services
Yeah.
to get those packages from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's where fulfillment centers come in. They're the backbone of the e-commerce ecosystem.
So instead of competing with traditional retail, e-commerce is actually creating a new kind of demand for physical space.
Exactly. And Indianapolis, with its central location and excellent logistics infrastructure, is perfectly positioned to benefit.
Uh-huh.
Condé mentions the former Sears at Washington Square Mall,
Right.
which is now a massive fulfillment center processing thousands of packages daily.
It seems like those large, empty department stores are prime candidates for these types of conversions.
Yeah.
That's something Cara highlights in her analysis?
She does. She points out that these former retail giants often have the square footage, high ceilings, and loading docks necessary for efficient fulfillment operations.
Yeah.
Plus, their locations, often near highways and residential areas, are ideal for quick distribution.
Made sense.
It's almost as if they were built for this purpose.
It's true. Conde also mentions that CBRE reported a 22% increase in retail to industrial conversions in Indianapolis in 2024 alone.
Wow.
That indicates this trend is gaining serious momentum.
It does. And it's not just about repurposing existing structures.
Okay.
Indianapolis is also seeing a surge in new construction, specifically designed for e-commerce fulfillment.
Wow.
The city's affordability, coupled with its business-friendly environment, is attracting major players in the logistics industry.
So Indianapolis is becoming a hub for both experiential retail and e-commerce fulfillment.
It is.
What is it about the city that makes it so attractive for these seemingly different sectors?
That's a great question. It's not just one factor, it's a confluence of things.
Okay.
This has already touched on affordability.
Mm-hmm.
Commercial rents in Indianapolis average $18 per square foot,
Okay.
which is significantly lower than the national average.
Right.
That's a huge incentive for businesses looking to expand or relocate.
Affordability is definitely a big draw, especially for startups and smaller businesses.
Uh-huh.
What else is contributing to Indianapolis's success in this area?
Accessibility is another key factor.
Okay.
Indianapolis is strategically located at the crossroads of several major interstates,
Right.
making it easy to transport goods throughout the region.
Right.
It's a logistical sweet spot.
So it's a prime location for both distribution and attracting a workforce.
Yes.
What about the city itself? Is there anything about Indianapolis that's contributing to this retail renaissance?
Absolutely. Indianapolis has a growing population. It's now over 900,000.
Wow.
And a thriving tech sector.
Okay.
Companies like Salesforce and Infosys have expanded their offices here, drawing in a young, educated workforce with disposable income.
Uh-huh.
That's a recipe for a vibrant retail scene.
It sounds like Indianapolis is creating a very attractive environment for businesses and residents alike. Does Cara weigh in on why Indianapolis seems to be ahead of the curve in adapting to these changing retail dynamics?
She believes it's a combination of factors. Proactive city leadership,
Okay.
a collaborative spirit among businesses and developers,
Uh-huh.
and a willingness to embrace new ideas.
Yeah.
Indianapolis has this roll up your sleeves and get things done
Uh-huh.
mentality that's really paying off.
It's interesting how all of these factors, affordability, accessibility, a growing population, and a supportive business environment have come together to create this perfect storm for retail success.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if other cities could replicate this model.
That's a great question, and one we should definitely delve into further.
Yeah.
But before we do, Cara tackles some key questions that are probably on your mind.
Okay.
Let's dive into those, shall we?
The first question is experiential retail worth the investment?
Okay.
These renovations and additions can be costly. What's her take on the ROI?
Conde acknowledges that these projects require a significant upfront investment, but she believes they pay off in the long run.
Okay.
She's seen clients recoup their costs within 18 months.
Wow.
And she points to a specific example near Carmel that saw a significant rent increase after adding a live theater space.
That's encouraging, it seems like. Creating those unique immersive experiences is key to attracting customers and boosting revenue.
It is?
What about fulfillment centers? How can property owners tell if their space is suitable for this type of conversion?
Conde provides a helpful checklist.
Okay.
She says you need to consider factors like proximity to highways, a minimum of 20,000 square feet of space-high ceilings, and zoning flexibility.
Okay.
She even gives the example of helping a client rezone their property near I-70, which is now leased to a logistics firm for a healthy $14 per square foot.
So she's not just offering theoretical advice, she's putting these principles into practice for her clients.
Exactly. And the final question she addresses is one that's probably on many people's minds.
Okay.
Are traditional retail spaces dead?
What's her verdict?
Conde believes traditional retail is far from dead.
Okay.
She argues that it's simply evolving.
Okay.
Standalone stores can thrive if they adapt to the changing market by offering things like curbside pickup, personalized services, and highlighting their local charm. It's about finding their niche and catering to specific customer needs.
It sounds like a key takeaway here is that adaptability is crucial for survival in today's retail landscape.
Absolutely. Conde gives the example of a boutique in Zionsville that's succeeding with a blended online-offline strategy.
Interesting.
They've created a seamless experience that allows customers to shop online, pick up in-store, or browse the physical location for inspiration and personalized service.
That's a smart approach.
Yeah.
So based on Cara insights, the Indianapolis retail scene is a fascinating case study in innovation and adaptability.
It is.
We've seen how both experiential retail and e-commerce are driving this remarkable comeback.
It's a story that challenges our assumptions about the future of retail.
Yeah.
It suggests that brick and mortar isn't going anywhere, but it has to evolve to meet the changing needs and desires of consumers.
And Indianapolis seems to be leading the way, showcasing how cities can leverage these trends to revitalize their economies and create vibrant, engaging communities.
It really is a remarkable example, but it raises some important questions about the broader implications of these trends.
Okay.
What does this mean for other cities? Could Indianapolis's model be replicated elsewhere?
Yeah.
And what other factors might shape the future of retail in the years to come?
Those are all great questions and ones we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. So we left off with a really interesting question. Could other cities replicate what Indianapolis is doing?
It's tempting to think there's like a one-size-fits-all solution, but the reality is much more nuanced.
Right.
What works in Indianapolis might not translate directly to another city.
Yeah.
Each location has its own unique strengths, weaknesses, and cultural context.
So it's not a matter of simply copying and pasting the Indianapolis model. It's about understanding the underlying principles and adapting them to different contexts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's take the example of experiential retail.
Oh.
A city with a strong tourism industry might leverage that by creating experiences tailored to visitors.
Right.
Think like interactive museums, themed attractions, or events showcasing local arts and culture.
That makes sense. You'd want to capitalize on what already draws people to the city and then enhance it with these immersive experiences.
On the other hand, a city with a strong industrial base and a strategic location might find more success focusing on the e-commerce side of the equation.
Okay.
They could attract fulfillment centers, logistics companies, and tech startups that support that ecosystem.
Like Indianapolis, they could leverage those existing assets to position themselves as a hub for e-commerce.
And precisely. And it's not just about attracting big businesses.
Right.
Cara insights highlight the importance of supporting local entrepreneurs and creating spaces for them to thrive. Remember the Maker's Market example?
Yeah.
That kind of initiative can have a ripple effect, boosting the entire local economy.
It creates a sense of community, fosters creativity, and offers shoppers a more personalized and unique experience.
Exactly. And it also creates opportunities for small businesses that might not have the resources to compete with larger retailers in a traditional mall setting.
It seems like a key takeaway here is that cities need to be proactive and adaptable. They can't just sit back and wait for things to happen.
Absolutely. They need to anticipate trends, invest in infrastructure, and create an environment that fosters innovation and entrepreneurship.
And it's not just about physical infrastructure. It's about creating policies and programs that support small businesses, attract talent, and encourage investment.
Connie also mentioned the importance of mixed-use developments, where you have shops, restaurants, apartments, and entertainment venues all in one place.
That's a growing trend in many cities. It creates a vibrant, walkable community where people can live, work, and play. It's almost like creating a mini city within a city.
It's about creating a sense of place, a destination, where people want to spend their time and their money.
Yeah.
And it reduces reliance on cars, which is good for the environment and for quality of life.
So while Indianapolis's retail renaissance is unique in many ways, there are definitely lessons that other cities can apply.
Absolutely. It's about being strategic, creative, and responsive to the evolving needs of consumers and businesses.
One thing that really struck me about Cara blog post is her emphasis on seeing the potential in unexpected places.
Yeah.
She talks about helping clients flip properties, turning dead retail spaces into thriving businesses.
She has this knack for connecting the dots, for understanding market trends and matching them with the right opportunities.
Right.
Like that former retail plaza near I-465 that she helped turn into a leased space for a delivery startup.
It was an underutilized space in a prime location, and she saw the potential for it to become a key part of the e-commerce infrastructure.
It highlights the importance of having someone on your team who can see the big picture, who can anticipate the needs of the market and guide you towards success.
It's almost like she has a crystal ball.
Well, maybe not a crystal ball, but she certainly has her finger on the pulse of the Indianapolis real estate market.
And it sounds like she's not just driven by profits, but also by a genuine desire to help her clients succeed and to see Indianapolis thrive.
That comes across very clearly in her writing. She's passionate about her city and about the work she
And
does.
that passion is contagious. I have to admit, after reading her blog post, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the future of retail.
I think that's the takeaway here. Indianapolis has shown that retail is not dead, it's evolving.
Right.
And by embracing that evolution, by being creative and adaptable, we can create vibrant, thriving communities.
So what does this all mean? I think it means that we need to stay curious, stay informed, and be open to new possibilities.
Yeah.
The retail landscape is constantly changing, and the winners will be those who can adapt and innovate.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But before we completely wrap up, I think there's one more provocative thought to leave our listener with.
Okay, let's hear it. What's on your mind?
We've talked a lot about how Indianapolis is adapting to current trends, but what about the future?
Yeah.
What other trends might shape the retail landscape in the years to come?
That's a good question. We've seen how technology has already transformed the way we shop. What if that continues to accelerate?
Exactly. What if virtual reality and augmented reality become even more integrated into the shopping experience?
Imagine being able to try on clothes virtually or tour a store from the comfort of your own home.
Or personalize products in real time using 3D printing technology?
The possibilities are mind-boggling. And what about the role of sustainability?
Consumers are becoming increasingly conscious of the environmental impact of their purchases.
Right.
Will we see a rise in circular economy models where products are designed for reuse and recycling?
These are all fascinating questions. It seems like the future of retail is full of potential but also uncertainty.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so exciting.
So to our listener, we leave you with this challenge. What do you think the future of retail holds? What trends are you seeing emerge? How do you think technology, sustainability, and changing consumer behaviors will shape the way we shop in the years to come?
It's a conversation worth having because understanding these trends could be valuable whether you're a business owner, an investor, or simply a curious consumer.
It's kind of crazy to think how much retail has changed even just in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and the pace of change is just getting faster and faster.
We've been talking about Indianapolis and this amazing comeback they've got going on with retail, embracing experiential retail, becoming like a hub for e-commerce. But how does all this connect back to you, the listener?
Right.
Why should you care about what's happening in Indianapolis?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
On the surface, you might be like, I don't live there, so what does it matter? But if we zoom out a little bit and look at the bigger picture, what's happening in Indianapolis are trends that are playing out all over the country and even globally.
That's true. Whether you're a business owner or an investor, a city planner, or just someone who likes to shop, these trends are going to impact you in some way.
Absolutely. Take experiential retail, for example.
Yeah.
It's not just some fad. It's a fundamental shift in how people view shopping.
Yeah.
We're not just happy with buying a product anymore.
Right.
We want an experience, a connection, a story.
And that's true whether you're shopping for clothes, groceries, or even a car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're a business owner, you need to think about how you can create those memorable experiences for your customers.
Yeah,
How can you go beyond just a transaction
Yeah.
and create a space where people want to hang out?
And it's not just about physical spaces either.
Right.
Think about online retailers who are incorporating virtual showrooms and personalized recommendations into their websites.
Yeah.
They're trying to replicate that feeling of discovery and engagement that you get in a real store.
It's all about adapting to the changing expectations of people.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the other big trend we've been talking about, e-commerce.
It's interesting how e-commerce has, in a way, breathed new life into physical spaces.
Yeah.
The demand for fulfillment centers has created opportunities for repurposing empty malls and storefronts.
And it's not just about the buildings themselves.
Right.
It's about the whole logistics ecosystem that supports e-commerce.
Right.
The trucking companies, the delivery services, the software developers. All these industries are growing,
Yeah.
creating jobs and economic opportunities.
And that's something that city planners need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
As e-commerce keeps growing, cities need to invest in infrastructure that can handle it. Think about transportation networks, zoning regulations, and workforce development programs.
It's about creating an environment that works for both traditional and online retail.
Right.
And that brings us back to adaptability.
Yeah.
The cities and businesses that do well in the future will be the ones that are flexible, innovative and responsive to change.
One thing that really stood out to me in Cara blog post is how much she emphasizes seeing potential in places you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
She talks about helping clients flip properties, turning dead retail spaces into thriving businesses.
She's got this talent for connecting the dots,
Mm.
understanding market trends and finding the right opportunities.
Hmm.
Like that old retail plaza off I-465 that she helped turn into a leased space for a delivery startup.
Yeah, it was an underutilized space in a great location, and she saw that it could become a key part of the e-commerce world.
It shows how important it is to have someone on your team who can see the big picture, anticipate what the market needs, and help you succeed.
It's like she's got a crystal ball or something.
Well, maybe not a crystal ball,
Right.
but she definitely knows what's going on in the Indianapolis real estate market.
And it sounds like she's not just in it for the money, but also wants to help her clients do well and see Indianapolis thrive.
That comes across so clearly in her writing.
Uh-huh.
She loves her city and the work she does.
And that passion is contagious.
Yeah.
After reading her blog post, I'm actually feeling pretty optimistic about the future of retail.
I think that's the big takeaway.
Yeah.
Indianapolis has shown that retail isn't dead, it's just changing.
Right.
And if we embrace that change, be creative and adaptable, we can make vibrant, thriving communities.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
I think it means we need to stay curious, stay informed, and be open to new possibilities.
I agree.
The world of retail is always changing, and the winners will be those who can adapt and come up with new ideas.
So well said. But before we wrap up completely, I think there's one more thought-provoking thing to leave our listener with.
Okay, let's hear it. What are you thinking?
We've talked a lot about how Indianapolis is adapting to what's happening now.
Right.
But what about the future?
Yeah.
What other trends might shape retail in the years to come?
That's a good question. We've seen how technology has already changed how we shop.
Uh-huh.
What if that just keeps accelerating?
Exactly. Like, what if virtual reality and augmented reality become even more a part of the shopping experience?
Imagine being able to try on clothes virtually or walk through a store from your couch.
Or customize products in real time using 3D printing?
Wow, the possibilities are pretty crazy. And what about sustainability?
People are becoming more and more aware of the environmental impact of their purchases.
That's true.
Will we see more circular economy models where products are made to be reused and recycled?
These are all super interesting questions.
Yeah,
It seems like the future of retail has tons of potential, but also a lot of unknowns.
exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting.
So to our listener, we leave you with this challenge. What do you think the future of retail holds? What trends are you seeing? How do you think technology, sustainability, and changing shopping habits will shape how we buy things in the future?
It's a conversation we need to be having because understanding these trends is valuable, whether you're a business owner, an investor, or just a curious shopper.
Absolutely. This deep dive into what's happening in Indianapolis has been really eye-opening.
It had.
It shows the power of innovation adaptability and a little bit of that Midwestern ingenuity.
It really does. And it makes me feel optimistic about the future of retail, not just in Indianapolis, but everywhere.
So to our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep imagining the possibilities.
I agree.
The future of retail is in our hands, and it's going to be a wild ride.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and keep those minds open.
And that's our show for today. Thanks for tuning in.